Michael McBride from Winchester, Kentucky. I was serving in the Marine Corps. Well, I joined the Marine Corps in '65. I went to Vietnam in April of '66 to May of '67. I flew 252 combat missions as a helicopter crew chief door gunner for HMM 363. I was wounded in combat. I came back. I had 2.5 years to do on 4-year enlistment. I was not allowed to vote or drink when I came back. I wasn't old enough after flying 252 combat missions. We were at our base, Dong Ha, which is about 5 miles from the DMZ. We were the first squadron to be stationed there, and they would hit us with mortars and rockets every night. I got hit in the knee with a shrapnel from a rocket or mortar. I don't know which one. I know it hurt. I'll tell you a couple things. When I first got there, they gave me a 12-gauge shotgun and put me on guard duty. So it took a while to get to flying. They were assigning all the new crews one day, and we had up to YZ 72 to YZ 82, and they were listening to crew chiefs and the first mech door window gunners. And they got up to YZ 81. I still wasn't on the list, and I was really getting nervous I wasn't going to get a fly again. So they said YZ 81, Corporal Daryl Grelson, and PFC Michael McBride. And right after that, it came the sirens going on like the war movies. Everybody was running to their helicopters. And we all flew. We got into on a mission where everybody was firing machine guns. It was the hottest mission of all of the ones I flew, the first one. And I thought to myself, what have I got myself into? But we all got back safe after that. The bravest thing I ever did was not shoot. We were doing emergency extraction. A squad of Marines were pinned in the jungle. You couldn't see anything. It was thick canopy. And we were getting hit, bullets hitting the helicopter. And I was a window gunner at the time, and my crew chief, he was firing away. He kept saying, Mac, shoot. I didn't shoot because I didn't know where our men were. I had 50% chance of hitting our guys or hitting the Viet Cong. The bigger regret is we didn't get them out. I wish I had fired now. It couldn't have got any worse. So the best day, probably the day I left. We looked forward to going over when we were in boot camp in 1965. We were joining the Marine Corps. We didn't get drafted or anything. We wanted to get into the action. But you actually get over there and you start losing buddies and all that, then you're ready to come home. That war was not popular after the first 3 or 4, like most wars are not. Today, the soldiers and Marines get respect. We didn't get any respect when we came back. There was nothing there, so we just kind of hung together. We stayed together as a group. The Purple Heart, that's for being wounded. The Air Medal, I got 12 of those. You get one for each 20 combat missions. I had 12 Air Medals. I would have had a lot more, but like I say, they put me on guard duty when I first got there, so I didn't get a fly for the first few months. I've got a lot more that would go on there, but that's the 2 main ones, Purple Heart and Air Medal. We were so proud when we got our wings, our combat aircrew wings. You earn those in combat, and you get the 3 gold stars by being shot at so many times, and that makes it a permanent award. I went to work for the Army, worked for them for 28 years. Most of them at the end were the last 15 or whatever, working with soldiers, getting them trained. I was a housing manager at the Bluegrass Army Depot. Then I became the military training coordinator. And we would bring in reserve and guard units. They were getting to train them in ordnance, transportation, supply, engineering, everything. It really was a lot of fun. Then it got after 9/11, they started getting activated, and they would be at a base, big base, being processed, and they would just sit there for months. So we brought the ordnance units in. Me and a colonel, we started a program called MOST, Mobilization Ordnance Specific Training, where we would bring them in, the ordnance soldiers, and because we were ordnance depot, and we would train them in all the aspects of ordnance. We actually let them blow up stuff, taught them inventory, hauling, how to tie it down, all that. It was great. We have Marines come today. We have active duty Marines come to Kentucky all the way from California, active units to take that training. That was my legacy, I guess.